evening, Rajiv. How are you today?
Good evening, Priyanka. Wonderful as always.
And
Thursday
may
is the
I
most
add,
exciting of the week.
yes, and may I add, good evening, Dr. Rajiv. We've had some successes in the recent past, and I'm so delighted to share that with the world. So, good evening, Dr. Rajiv, to you today.
Thank you very much, Priyanka. Very kind of you. I think it's the love and affection of everybody and my own commitment to myself to own my future that I continue to keep
Yes,
doing what I love to do.
your commitment to yourself and our commitment to Thursdays, and talking to some fantastic people who continue to persevere their purpose and own their future. They show it how it's done. Today, we're talking to a very wonderful guest who keeps her purpose to the core at the OYF Show, a place that is being built for you. So you always have somebody to turn to. Conversations, spark nuggets, studies, insights, toolkits, learning management system, and a lot more. But we start with the par nugget. Rajiv, what are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about purpose. And here I'm so delighted to share with everybody something which I picked up out of a Forbes study. And Forbes did a research on about 8,000 consumers across about 12 countries, which included Asia, Europe, and the US, which includes India, the US, European countries, and some of the East Asian countries. And do you know what came out of it? They did a very interesting, insightful study that said purpose driven brands actually customers responded to purpose driven brands in a very different way. And how they did that? Four times more likely to buy, six times likely to protect it when there are challenging times, four and a half times likely to recommend it and to champion the cause of the brand, and 4.1 times likely to trust it. I think the key words are if you're purpose driven, whether it's a brand, whether it's you, whether it's anybody, you're likely to be bought more, you're likely to be protected, you're likely to be recommended, and finally, you're likely to be trusted. So focus on the purpose, and I can guarantee you everything will change, everything will move in your favor. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we have a wonderful guest who's actually going to share a lot more about it as all of us collectively share our experiences about purpose driven journeys to own your future. Before we jump into that, Priyanka, can you just play our short video and then we'll invite a guest over?
Yes, please.
Well, welcome, Shahwar. We have a wonderful guest of ours on the show today, Shahwar Shohrat. I think she is best described as a humanitarian, a wonderful human being who also happens to be the CEO of the Luxe Story. And she has a lot of things that she does. I think so because she follows her heart. And through her heart, she's been able to build a purpose for herself and has chosen to own her future. So we could have found a better person than her to join us today for a conversation around the topic, the theme that we wanted to share today, which was purpose driven journey to own your future. Welcome, Shawar, and we are so grateful for you to have spent the time and be with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm equally honored to be here today, Rajiv. Thank you, Priyanka.
Well, thanks a lot. And just to get started with it, I just thought it'd be good to know uh, what's been the journey like for Shahawar to move from small town to big cities. Tell us something
Yeah.
more about what people don't know about.
Yeah, so first and foremost, Rajiv, I would like to again say thank you for having me on this amazing show, Own the Future. The name is something which is, so amusing. Own the future, and everyone must own their future and should take a control of, which is not easy, I would say, or I should call it a show, or I should say a property. As you say, you've created a property, and I am humbled to be sharing my journey and thoughts on this wonderful platform. where you have already have hosted many esteemed and renowned personalities who have amazing journeys to be shared and heard. And I've been always following this show, the way you and Priyanka host, and the create the flow. It creates a lot of interest uh, to the people who are joining as the audience, and they learn a lot. At the same time, they contribute towards the show as well in their comments. And my gratitude to you, Priyanka, and entire team of OYF. Now coming to my journey. See, my journey till now has been a treasure trove of amazing experiences. Life is but a collection of stories, and I am grateful of mine. So it all started from a very small town of India, I would say 150 kilometers towards the northeast of Delhi, called Nagawa, near Amroha district, in the later part of 20th century. So I was born in Nagawa, and I have actually, to my surprise, that during those days, the importance of education. My parents have realized the importance of education, and because there was no good schools in that small town, my parents had actually sent me away when I was 4 year old. So I actually had to go away from my mother when I was four, and I started living with my sisters, my grandparent, my nanny. And then I did my schooling, my early days schooling from Aligarh. I got admission in Aligarh University. I am a commerce graduate from Aligarh, and during my school days only, I somehow got the passion developed towards Taekwondo, the self-defense martial art, which was not very popular for women or a girl to join during that time. But my father encouraged me, and I had performed. I was the youngest black belt girl of Aligarh, and I had played many state championships and national championships. And I realized that Taekwondo, I joined, my father introduced me for my self-defense because I was living away from my parent. He was concerned about my security, and in India it is very much a concern even nowadays. So but then later on I realized, while learning Taekwondo as for my self-defense, it has come to me wherein I developed my personality through that particular sport. And it has given me, a lot of things. I got the self confidence, the kind of personality that I've developed after. And then later on, I got admission after my graduation in NIFT New Delhi, which is a renowned fashion institute of India, and fashion is very very close to my heart. Immediately after my course, I did a biggest gala fashion show in Aligarh, which I would say that even after the 2 decades, there was no such show ever happened ever again till now. And I am now planning to to do the better one than the one I did 2 decades back. So 20 years back I did, now I'm planning to hold another one as being the fashion enthusiast. And from there, I would say the life took me. I was blessed that I've got a partner who was always supportive, encouraged me to do the things that I always wanted to do. And I started living in Delhi with him. And then we moved to Gurgaon, and then, then my husband got an opportunity, and we had to move to Nairobi, Kenya. And all through this journey, I had experience from a village, then a smart city, then a metropolitan capital city of India, and then outside India I traveled a lot. So I would say that all this multicultural experience has helped me to be the person I am today. And there's a lot that I can share and ponder upon my journey, but I would now move on to the next, maybe the question, to so that we reach
So
towards.
I think it's an interesting point you make. Before I request Priyanka to share her thoughts on this. Uh, Small town, smart city, metro city, Nairobi. And interestingly, as I was looking at some of the wonderful people who joined us today, we got in the audience Urvina all the way from London. We got Lakshmi from the US. and Sarika from Bhubaneswar. I think she stays in Bhubaneswar. Now, it speaks a lot, right? That the fact that this world that we're living in is so amazing, that to the story of how somebody grows, where one grows, and you have an opportunity to talk to the world today, right?
Yeah.
And connecting it with what we're really talking about, the stories that we bring to life, the purpose with which we bring them to life, to own our future, and to be able to take the steps slowly but surely, uh, is what this whole thing is about. So, thanks for sharing that. And I'm grateful to some of our amazing supporters who sort of always join us, cheer us, and root for us. So, thank you very much, all of you. This show is here only because of all of you. Over to you, Priyanka.
So I want to bring the focus back to Shahwar's work, and I know we'll come to a lot more of what she does. But amongst the story, Shahwar, what would you have wished it to be different? Like if you were to go back and change something that in that sequence of events, was it moving to different cities, or was it choosing taekwondo over some other sport? What would you have liked it to be different?
Yeah, so Priyanka, I would say it's time. I if I would want to go back in time, I would just pause and look back down the memory lane and not to change anything in it, but to hold all the learnings from the past to add value and to make it more meaningful. So, I would not like to change anything because every step and every experience, be it good or bad, um, actually have helped me to be the person I am. If I want to change anything, I don't think so I'll be prepared for the change that time than I am today, in current situation.
So let's take you to your work and let's understand more of that. Rajiv?
Yeah, I think see in the process of what you just said, that there is nothing that would you would like to change is a very interesting uh, observation that you make, that the best way to sort of repurpose your purpose is by pausing. And I just want us to reflect on what I just said, that the best way to repurpose our purpose is actually by taking a pause. Because when you pause, you actually sharpen yourself to be able to fine tune your purpose and take the steps which are going to take you faster to your destination. And I think in your pause, in your desire of not wanting to change anything, I think that's what is probably sitting behind it. And I just thought I must share as it came to me when you were talking about it. And I was reflecting on it, and that's the reason I just took about a second to come back into this conversation. So thanks for bringing that out.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I completely resonate to the thought that you're bringing to the table, that it's important to pause and rethink and learn from the experiences that we have all had.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's so very important. Now tell me one thing. What really helped you make your choices about what you're doing today? Because you have a purpose today. You have a set of things that you're doing today that's driving you. So, what really helped you make those choices? Was it you're shifting to some place? Was it something that you always wanted to do? Uh, what really influenced that became uh, your moment of truth for you at this point in time?
So, Rajiv, I would say that we all seek a fulfilling life, a life of happiness and a satisfaction. And it is a good goal to have, right? And I, however, believe that the most fulfilling and a satisfying life is the one that fulfills and inspires others' life, even if it's very few. And to reach to that learning, it took me more than, I would say, 15 years, wherein I was passionately working to whatever I doing or contributing towards the success of my future, be it my education, be it my sports, or be it to be the entrepreneur that I am today. And my corporate experience definitely add value to it. I've been doing everything with full dedication, with the passion and energy, with zeal, and I have no regrets because I was always achieving. I've been rewarded. I've been recognized on different platforms through the work that I was doing, and I because I did it with wholeheartedly everything. But one after another, there was something that I used to look up to. Like, this is my goal today, and once I'm reaching here, then I'm looking up to another goal, and then another goal, and there was no limit to for the definition of success in my life. I was always, I would say, competing, I would say, in a healthy way, to be the better person. I had a lot of role models, and I wanted to be to fit in their shoes. And I'm happy that I did all that. However, when I moved to Kenya, I started living. I That was the longest holiday, you can say, that I have living over there. Because I had to leave my restaurant, which was I was running here in Gurgaon, to move to Kenya. And after moving there, I was thinking, what will I do there? Because the my husband got opportunity. We were there as an expatriate, and of course, there was a lot that I could enjoy. I was lucky. I made good friends. I was enjoying life every day out, socializing, meeting friends. And then I realized that I have to do something. And because I had a lot of time, I my kids were in school till 4 p.m., and I have to utilize my time in a more productive manner. So I had opened a event management company there. Even then, I was thinking that there is something more that I can do. Then I started volunteering in the biggest slum of the world, one of the biggest slum of the world, because people call Dharavi from Bombay is the biggest slum of the world. But to me, Kibera in Kenya is biggest slum of the world, because Dharavi, the population of Dharavi is 10 lakh people living over there. In Kibera, there are 7 lakh people. But if you compare with the population of both the different countries, I would say the Kibera is the biggest slum of the world. And while going there, volunteering myself and my services to the people, we still talk about, because I am a humanitarian and I work for women empowerment, health and hygiene issues. We talk about using a biodegradable sanitary pads here, to this level. But when you go to the slums and you see the people's real struggle, even to have a clean water to drink, or their sanitization is an issue, then these things feels like it's somewhere it's a luxury to use
Yeah, yeah,
biodegradable
yeah.
pads.
Even have that conversation.
Yeah, and there only I realized that what I was doing with my passion, and I was achieving a lot in my journey. I was always hungry for something bigger and better. But while volunteering there, I realized that that's my true purpose, that was my calling. And I realized that I've been born to serve people, to do the things for the people who are in need. And I used to enjoy before that. I don't know whether it's right thing to say in such a forum, that I used to enjoy and love shopping. And I lavishly used to spend on shopping, buying branded bags, everything. And I was lucky that I could do that. I say I was fortunate. But
Yeah.
while I was interacting with those people, I realized that the money that I'm using for my shopping, I should start my own non-profit organization, and I should start doing things for these people. And that's where I found my sole purpose of my life. And I was more clear that, because when you're living the life, the passion is for yourself, right? And when you found the purpose is selfless. And when you are doing something selflessly, which I've seen my father all through his life living the life for the people and community, that still have not awakened me enough. While I was volunteering, and I used to take my daughter along, and when she used to come back, she used to be in tears, and next day she used to say, I need only few pairs for shoes. Rest all you can give to those kids. Donate them, mama. And then she used to tell me that, let's take some candies, some food for these kids. Even the extra books she used to have at home, she want to donate them. So and then I realized that that's where I am finding the purpose, and I'm finding the solace, and I'm not competing with anyone, but to serve little bit and bring changes in other people's life. And when we used to see this smile, and somebody is walking up to you and say these are the changes, and you are the reason for them in their life to make it little better, and that's where you feel awesome, elated. And that was where I have found my purpose. So I would say that everyone should have a purpose in life, no matter what age you are in, be it 10 years or 20, 30, 40, or 60. And there's no time to find the purpose of your life. The awakening can happen anytime, anywhere.
So I have to share with you, like, if I were to change the names, our lives are similar. Are you? I was born in a big city to educated parents, and I've moved a lot of cities over the years. That said, I think one of the most fun things that I've done for myself is, again, for people, and my realization and is for people who were less economically privileged, or who could kind of, not who had to think harder to buy that bag, that I did not have to think as much. So I had the luxury to be able to do that. But like you said, and my story is so similar, so change the name and the story remains the same. Some of my most favorite memories are from the times when, I had a lot of people I was kind of responsible for in a certain setup. And when they come back and they say that, you made a difference, or the work that you did made a difference to how we conduct ourselves. And what I say to them is that it's not that my work made a difference to your life. It's just that we learned from each other, and you chose to follow a path which may not have otherwise been brightly lit for you. And I may have learned a lot from you as well. So, irrespective of who came from what background, there was always that little bit that we can always share with each other and light a path which was otherwise not seen so obviously. So, yeah, I mean, it's always nicer to have that purpose going. And so, talk to us more about Kenya. What was Kenya like, and how did that shape your experiences as you build your work there?
Yeah, so yeah, hi, I'm audible.
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so you know what? I've been doing a lot of things in Kenya, but after relocating here back to India 2 years back, I realized that I am here back to India not to just focus on my business. I am an entrepreneur. I am into B2B business, and I am into home decor. We do promote handicrafts of India, and that's where I've registered my trust, because I've seen the condition that the artisans are
Yeah.
going in India. And I realized that that I have to now continue this work. And I would say that I'm lucky that people approached me, and I got a good profile attached to my name, and I am now running many trusts. In one way or the other, I'm part of it and contributing my service to make the world, I would say, very little I'm able to contribute to make it a beautiful place for each other to live together.
Yeah, I think you being very humble in what you're saying. I think so. Impacting one life is enough, and I always say this: one soul at a time. And if you're able to do that, uh, I think we've achieved more than anything else. So I know some of the work that you do, and you were talking about it when we met last time. Uh, I I think it's very interesting to find out, and in fact, there are some very interesting comments resonating. Urvina, in between, said that she was born in Nairobi, and she was actually so thrilled to hear your story about Nairobi, and she keeps referring to the fact about you being uh, able to sort of refer to the volunteering work being so important and so relevant in terms of being the real purpose for how people can do things. Uh, you mentioned about work with artisans, right? You mentioned about the work that people need to be doing from a perspective of improving their livelihoods, improving what they are doing at this point in time. Now, in your experience, and after given the type of work that you've been doing, what is it that probably needs to be done to really improve the earning capabilities of artisans at the grassroots level? Because that's a challenging problem, right? It's not an easy one to solve, uh, and it's not something that can go away tomorrow. So, what's been your experience around it, and what do you think is the way forward in that? Because I am of a very firm view that if that gets addressed, I think that's what will make us a powerful nation, a superpowered in the real sense, right? And whatever little work that I do with these people in terms of engaging with them and working with them through government bodies, through NRLM and various things, I can see so much energy and spark in them, right? But when it gets down to the earning that they make and what really happens in that whole life cycle, it's very challenging. So, what's been your experiences? Share your experiences with us, and what do you think needs to be done to make life better for them?
So I'm glad that you're raising this point here in this forum. After relocating back to India, I started working with the artisans because I am an art lover by heart, and being a designer, that's very natural that I'm always striving to bring new designs to particular art. And in India, the challenge is that the art is coming out, what we are sending to the market, it's the very traditional art that we are creating from past many centuries, I would say. And after coming, and uh, I know there are audience from Kenya, Nairobi, so I would say that Nairobi is also very well known. I would say entire Africa is known for the crafts. They are very rich with their handicrafts, and I loved, if you visit my home, you will see everywhere pieces of Africa and Indian handicrafts, in different corners. So after coming back to India, I had to create something new, which is more, demand, to create the demand of the products in the market. And I was trying to create, bringing innovative products. I was blending the African arts with the Indian arts to bring more innovative products in the market. And that's where I had some struggle while interacting with the artisans, because that's where they're a bit rigid to, when you ask them to change the way they've been working or creating something new, because they know that, they love their talent, and they are very much into the pieces they've been creating. And that's where I had realized that I have to create another level of bonding with these artisans to bringing the product, which is the main need of the market, because you can only increase the sale not only by bringing them to the mainstream, but also creating the bigger demands of the
Yeah.
product they are creating or making. And if you keep on making the similar things, you will not bringing anything new. Of course the customer wants something new, and which is more modern. And um, and then I realized, while visiting to the factories, I realized that the labor law that are in India, which are in place, however, the conditions of the labor were not very good, to my surprise, because they are exposed to chemicals, they are not wearing proper uniform. Because I've seen the difference in other countries. I've traveled to, throughout the world, and I've interacted the artisans in other countries, how much they are being taken care of. And in our country, when our artisans are working, they're hardly wearing anything. They are sometimes very near to the fire, sometimes they're using chemicals to polish the products. And that's why I thought I should do something for them, not only to bring to help them sell their product, but also to start working on their welfare, so that they understand, they are important, their life is important. uh, that was my main agenda at that point of time. And then I had created my trust, which is uh, working to provide the better working condition to all these artisans. And we are helping them create better livelihood. We are also conditioning and spreading awareness with the policy that government already have, the mudra loan, the MSME schemes that are there in place for the artisans in current times. The government have a lot of policies, but awareness is not there. Like the artisans with the artisan card can participate in exhibition not only on national level but international level, and they don't have to pay for their the shop they are taking an exhibition. However, the awareness this comes on a very later part when you're talking about somebody who's talented, who's loving the art. For first, the foremost thing is to talk about their welfare, their hygiene conditions, and their own rights. If they're aware of their own rights, then only they can raise their voice and they can ask uh, from the employer who is employing them. And not only this, the charges they've been paying, the wages they've been given to the work they are doing, are they appropriate or not? So they should know that what are the appropriate wages for the work they are doing and for how many hours. Like if you are asking them to do overtime, they should be overtime paid to these artisans. And I would, and this is where my trust came in a position, position wherein we try to create a lot of exhibition directly with the artisans. When all the money were going to the artisans directly, there was no person in the middle. And because the major share of the, because there's no price to the art piece one create. It's the way the customer like and bid towards it. And they were really happy because if some one piece is being sold for 20,000, the entire 20,000 is going to that person, and they were really happy to get that kind of money. And I felt the pain that when I saw there's artisan at the age of say about 65 or 70, and they are not teaching it to their next generation, because they don't see the future in the same sector, and they prefer to ask the kid to drive a auto or to do any kind of other labor work, but not to take the art forward. And the art is not only a medium for an artisan to earn, but that's also a restoring the heritage, the rich
Yeah,
culture that India have, and it's also contribute hugely towards our
the
GDP.
rich.
So if
Yeah.
we will not work together to revive, restore, wherein I see the Indian government is doing amazing, but I still feel there's a lot more required to do on the grassroots level. Awareness and education is very much required. There should be a courses specially made, as you are saying, that what steps we should make to provide the better livelihood and create a better earnings for these artisans. I would say the first, there should be some courses which provide a better education for these particular artisans, wherein they not only being empowered in the work they are doing, but they should also know that how they can take their own art piece and be the entrepreneur themselves. If they have to do a business, they should be able to do on themselves, and they should be able to know that they have to bring the change in the product basis, the requirement and the demand of the market, and they
So
should know that. Yeah.
I like what you say. I think it's a subject that obviously you studied so well, and it's so kind of you to share that experience with people who listen. So what I have understood is that there is the scope of people who have that skill in their hands, and I also know that for us city people who live in fancy addresses, um, there is a lot of value to this, but somewhere the chain is broken. Somewhere the kind of value, and I'm not necessarily monetary, but the kind of value that this work of art can bring to, of course, the owner who buys it versus the person who produces it. That chain is somewhere missing. So I understand that chain traditionally has been managed by maybe for lack of a better word, middlemen. So of course I understand that it's important that they exist, and they must have done a good service to both the buyer and the seller, but they somehow end up being like the bad people who are always pleasing. So how do you understand, and what can be done to make this value chain better? Like how can we bring more value to and save that form of art, and of course the middleman as well. So what can we do for them?
Yeah, so you know what, in my opinion, that we should spread awareness there should also be a counseling services for the artisans wherein they should know about their rights. We should hold a lot of workshops, not only in the cities away from their home, but in their own places, because the difficult these artisans are facing, they can't all the time travel. And if they're traveling, there may be more people in the family who may want to learn about the facilities and the schemes and the other things that government is running currently. So there should be, on a district level, we should hold a lot of workshops, and we should promote the intercity exhibitions, wherein the work the UP artisans are doing, we should be able to take it to the north and south India, and the artisan, because that's where the demand is, right? And if the which are being made in south India, we should hold more exhibitions in different state, and maybe Jammu and Kashmir or northern India. So this is what I'm talking about, interstate interaction with the artisans, because you learn with each other through the best practice sharing. And other than that, on a national and international level, we should always think about that, how to empower them in terms of education. That's very important, because what I see, that they are good with their artwork, but the sense of having the right color combination and what is the pantone color of the year, that's where they are not aware themselves. So to have such kind of insight, we need to empower them through the right kind of education, and there should be a different courses for artisans, and they should be part of the curriculum. That's
Yeah.
what I
So
feel, and that's where the need is. Other than that, what I was trying to do, that is to mix the African crafts with the Indian crafts. There's a lot that African people are doing, we also do, but in a different manner. And if we create a blend, we may create something very innovative and create more demand in the international market. So such activities should also happen through the delegation of the artisans we should take to other country, and other country artisans should visit to our country for a greater level of exposure.
I think something which I would have asked, but our audience in the audience there is Ilandro D, and I hope I have pronounced that name correctly. He kind of wants to highlight that digital offers an opportunity. So, in your experience, and I know you do a lot of ground level work, do you see more of digital and internet reaching these places? Do you see small towns taking the advantage of what is essentially the digital advantage that this generation has for itself?
See, why I see current times, it's very difficult to, I know that it's a time wherein we all talk about e-commerce site and selling through the social media, but these people who are these artisans, they don't even have the smartphone. They're using a very ordinary normal mobile phones, and that's where the role of the middleman comes, and then they eat the bigger pie also from the cake. So the problem is that's where I'm emphasizing again and again, that we need to empower them, we need to give the facilities they need. If our government support to give them at least a smartphone, to these artisans, they'll be able to click picture and upload on social media, and many of them doesn't even understand that how the Facebook and other social media platforms operate. I'm talking about very interiors, not talking about the people who are sitting here in the smart cities or metropolitan, because I do travel to the countryside and I interact with these people, and when you talk to them, it's not easy to explain the exposure that you have and they have. And that's where I'm talking about that interstate exhibitions, because that will increase on the level of their experience and their exposure, and then slowly and gradually we can take, because there are exhibitions happening, but who are participating? Only those who are the award winner artisans, but they are not the majority. They are very less. They are the minority, I would say. So not everybody is being awarded.
I think who is participating is probably who's already done this once or twice over, and then now that system has set in. So whenever I go to an exhibition, I see a lot of people I've seen before, and I feel happy to see new faces, but those are far and few in between,
So if
and
you
that
go to,
means,
yeah, if you
yeah,
go to any of those traditional craft fairs, you'll find the same people participating again and again every time. But I'm happy to see the Hunar Haat, the initiative of, the government, the minority affairs. They are doing amazing, because that's where you will see the more, new faces, and that's really helps. So I would appeal and encourage the people of India to visit to Hunar Haats, because now they are going to different cities, and you will find something different and new and innovative, because that's where the NGOs are able to contribute and support through their role in the artisan's life, because then they can also take a shop and help sell the product of the particular artisan.
interesting, interesting, Rajiv.
Well, I think it's a very fascinating tale that you sort of share here, Shahwar. And I always have a very different perspective to things, and I want to share my perspective on some of the very valid points that you've raised. Uh, and I think you've very, in some part of your communication today and the sharing you've done today, I think you've so articulately described the fact that how important it is to have education as a bedrock
Yes.
for building the foundation for the artisans to be able to evolve. And more importantly, what something that you mentioned here was the fact that it is just not their own education, it is about their willingness to transfer their own skills to the next generation. this
Exactly.
is this is like, uh, while we've been sort of trying to do campaigns around save the tiger, right? This reminds me of that type of a campaign, save art in India. And I think that's what it is actually referring to, because we will be left with a generation very soon which is trying to do things which are very time bound and very materialistic. And I think that's something that I took away out of this. The other point that you talked about, and that's something which again is a very interesting one, is about the role of middlemen. And to me, the middleman is a necessary evil, right? And that necessary evil needs to be showcased in a way and manner that it allows to be able to participate in growth, yet make the money that it has to do. See, it's real to say that these middlemen will exist and they will continue to exist. Now they exist in form of people who provide access to the larger markets to these artisans, and in the digital era they come in form of the e-commerce giants. Today, again, the e-commerce giants are doing exactly that. They're taking away a share of the money for generating demand or bringing demand at your doorstep, right? So you can qualify this as saying that they're taking a pie of it, but as long as they're giving you incremental market, they're giving you incremental customers, I think it's fair. It's something that still can be uh, justified in terms of what probably needs to be done. So I think so. The middleman is going to exist. The question is, how much are we willing to part with them, and how much are we willing to sort of make sure that they contribute to the value chain of increasing business? That is probably important in this case. And lastly, I think, which is probably the most relevant point in this, is that if this ecosystem has to really grow, and going back to the core theme that we were talking about, I think each one of them has a dream, each one of them has a purpose. The artisan in their heart of heart has a purpose of existence. When they choose not to hand it over to the next generation, we are actually challenging their soul and we're asking them to look at another purpose. And that is something which is the most painful part of this whole journey. And if we choose digital as a medium and use what I call as organize the unorganized. See, to me, growth can happen when you actually choose to organize the unorganized. And that is the vehicle to be able to move this to the next level. Because if you don't do that, I can tell you, uh, we'll keep struggling. And you made a very pertinent point that you have to make sure, and that's something which many businesses do. You start an exclusion model. You say 30% will be repeat, 70% will be newcomers, nothing else possible. So be it, right? And I think it's a matter of defining those norms. It's a matter of encouraging people by design, by process. And I think so everything is possible today. I think we've got dearth of talent available, we've got dearth of marketplace available, we've got the digital opportunity. In fact, Prasanna, Ilango are saying very very valid points, that virtual exhibitions, digital landscape, creating an opportunity of that ecosystem, bringing the back end right, getting the supply chain in place, getting design sensibilities in place are all actionables. And I think what's resonating with the audience here today and people who are going to watch this later is that this is an opportunity which India cannot let go of.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think that's probably what it is. And I must really commend you for all the work that you do, Shahwar, for the amazing amount of grassroots work that you're doing, and your knowledge, your perseverance, and your love for this work that you're doing. And that's what
Yeah,
makes your
so I
purpose
just
to
want
do
to
work.
add here, Rajiv, recently we were running a contest because I understood the difficulty those artisans have. They are not literate as much and their confidence level is very low. And while I'm talking about artisan, my focus is on women artisans from the rural India. So, when you talk about women artisans, male artisans still a different mindset. When you talk about women artisans, they don't even consider they have a talent as much to be
Yeah,
showcased outside.
absolutely.
So when you interact with them and they are making such a beautiful hand knitted clothes or they are doing some kind of handwork, and while interacting with them, when you talk to them that if you would like, we can do an exhibition together like that. So or you just share the piece of the a picture of your artwork and let us promote through the medium that we have. So that's where they say, is it worthy enough? Such
Hmm.
questions. So when the people are not able to recognize the talent they have, to give them the boost to bring them out of this shell, we were running a contest called Pehchan Hunar Se. So the
Hmm.
meaning is that your talent is your treasure. So your talent is also your identity. So create your
Yeah.
identity through your talent. Just share the pictures of your art pieces and we'll come to your city. We'll hold an event wherein you will get to demonstrate that how you have created or made this in a practical form, and then we'll come with the jury and then we will reward the best three. And recently I did the finale in UP, just few days back, and I was amazed to see the kind of talent that came out from the women who were consider themselves as a housewives, and they were happy and they were amazed to see their own work, and they said that we are realizing the how worthy we are. So such small activities we have to keep on doing,
Yeah.
and my trust is working to revive, restore, especially the arts which are becoming the dead arts,
Yeah.
the wherein we are not taking it in the future generation. So we are doing a lot on that front as well, and my focus is on the rural India and the people who are not even able to access to have a middleman in between. So
And
to
I,
even to create that level of connect,
Yeah.
yeah.
we it's easier to go to Muradabad or Firozabad or maybe Muzaffarnagar. You will find many people who are being the medium for them as part of the middleman. But if you go to the rural, the small villages, you will they don't even know who do they go and talk to. So my focus is in that region and that area.
I have to tell you, I was working in a similar unit, and the lady who was my best worker, I was working at a printing unit, and the lady who was managing my office for me was a lady who would go to her her in-laws place by train, by bus, and then 40 minutes of walking. There was no road. But when she would sit and do my accounting books, there was not a penny out of order. Our accounting books were a mess for the longest times till this lady came in. We set some system, but once she understood the system, she took over our accounting, and she was such a strong pillar in terms of keeping our books in order, and not just the accounting, the stock taking and the coding and
That's
so many more
amazing.
small processes that continue in a unit which has about 4.5 lakhs of cash and material floating around. It's amazing to see what talent exists in places which you were not looking. I think that was one
So
of the
yeah, so Priyanka, while we talk about talent, we talk about how rich we are in our culture in terms of uh, how talented the people of India are. In terms of knowing the artwork and the craft work. At the same time, we need to understand that how to keep on creating the demand in the market. Like
yeah,
people who are
Yeah.
sitting in the metropolitan,
yeah,
they should buy more products which are handmade and the
yeah,
clothes which are handloom product than the power loom product,
very
because in
true.
my region I've seen that many of those hard looms are being closed. I would say more than 90% have been closed during post corona only. It's not that during the COVID times, not it's not because of pandemic, but I understand that they were not able to generate the revenue and they had no reason but to close it. And if you visit there, because I've been there, you see such a beautiful huge and only two
It breaks
people
my
working
heart.
sitting in the corner. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it breaks my
wrenches.
heart.
Yeah, yeah, it
When I
does.
see
So
something like that, I make my children stop and spend those extra few minutes trying to see how it is done, and it breaks my heart to realize that one day this will not be there for them to see. It will become
and the
museum,
other
and
thing
that
that
is
I want to appeal to everyone, that please, when you're buying anything from the artisan, maybe from a
don't
Delhi Haat
bargain.
or any such place, please don't bargain. Because,
Please don't bargain.
please stand there for some time and see the
Yeah,
time and the effort it goes into create that product. You will
yeah,
willingly pay, because we don't
yeah,
understand that how much efforts has gone to create that particular, even a small toy or maybe a doll,
yeah,
puppet doll, you see how much efforts they make to
yeah,
create one.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So closing remarks, Rajiv, and your favorite moments. Everybody goes around the table. We'll start with Rajiv.
Yeah, I think my favorite moment is that the opportunity to organize the unorganized is
Yeah,
what the future has in store. And I think every step counts, every person counts. And I think we've had an amazing audience today who've been very engaged and talking about things that probably could be done. So I think we've got interesting thoughts and pointers which is resonating with people. So I think so. I'm so happy that we touched the topic in a way and manner that we were able to sort of get people to engage on this. Thanks to you, Shahwar, for this amazing conversation. I'm sure this is the first of many more that we're going to have.
Thank you so much for having me here today. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you,
thank
Rajiv.
you. Thank you for your time. I'll close the broadcast. And I really do thank all the audience who spared their time and shared these moments with us. Thank you to Lakshmi, Prasanna, Ilango. There was
Urvina.
Urvina.
Urvina,
Urvina joins us very often. Thank you, Urvina. We love you. And there was Hassan and a couple of and doc and Sarika. So appreciate you. Spare the time for us and share your work and your comments. And we'd love to see more of those. Thank you so much, Howard, for the work that you do. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you so much.